4 drops of pet grade CBD is what did this to Kuzco. Hi, hello, and welcome back to Ariel's drama channel about pets. I feel like every time I upload a video, it's like some big long saga of what is happening in my life. God, that window light is terrible. But yeah, that's, I don't know. I guess I thrive in chaos. I'm definitely not thriving, but you know what? This story's not about me. If you follow me on social media, you know that this weekend, from Friday through to Monday, Kuzco very nearly died. Like, very nearly died. And that was my responsibility. So I feel like I need to explain what happened and how this could have been prevented, because I was promoting things that I should not have been on social media. I just feel like I need to share what happened. Now, I do want to be quite thorough with this video, so it may be a bit long. I'm going to start with kind of what brought us to the decision I made that ultimately endangered Kuzco. I'm going to talk about what his symptoms were, what that whole treatment process has been like so far. Kuzco is going to yell like he's fine, which is still really annoying, but I'm a lot more grateful for it now. God, where do we even start? You're right, that's a good spot. Okay, cool. So Kuzco has been a chronic regurgitator. Case in point, that's what that is right there. Kuzco's been a chronic regurgitator pretty much the entire time I've had him. I think it started when he was around 2 and has gotten progressively worse. He has been evaluated by 3 vets and 2 avian behaviorists at this point. It's not a medical issue that we're aware of. I do have a poop sample to get him tested for megabacteria just in case. It's mostly behavioral. He's a sexy boy. He's very hormonal. It's the worst between October and about May. And then in the summer months, he kind of slows down a little bit and I'm able to distract him. But the rest of the time, this is pretty much what he does when I'm around. And it is quite a serious problem. Like, people think it's hilarious that he's just a really humpy bird, but it's really not. And this winter, he actually lost 10 grams as a result of his regurgitation, which is about like a third to a quarter of his body weight. So options for overly hormonal birds like Kuzco are quite limited. You're not gonna hump my ponytail. Typically you would use Lupron, which we all know I've been on personally, and it's not generally something that I would want to put my pets on. It did what it was supposed to do for me, but it did come at quite the cost to my body. And I've talked about it in other videos, but essentially I barely remember the 2 years that I was on Lupron. My hair is coming out in clumps as I come off of Lupron. I've gained about 30 pounds. I had no appetite while I was on Lupron. It just really messed me up. It's not the best drug out there. Unfortunately, it is kind of the only option, or one of the only options for birds. He's gonna start humping my ponytail. So at the start of last week, I made the decision to put Kuzco on a low dose of pet CBD. It was recommended to me by a friend in the veterinary industry who I'm not gonna out. It's your job as an owner to decide what medication you think is safe for your animal. I did a bunch of reading. I found people online who had good results with small animals. I couldn't find any research specifically on birds, but I did find a number of people who said they had, done it with their birds and it hadn't helped, but they hadn't noticed any ill effects. A lot of people think that CBD is like snake oil or just like a bunch of omegas. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and that's kind of why I'm making this video, because it's extremely confusing. And I am currently working towards a master's degree in animal nutrition. I spend all day in the pet industry. I have a number of friends who are nutritionists, and I still couldn't figure it out, and I still made this mistake. It's not me trying to say that I'm smarter than your average pet owner, because I'm not, because I couldn't navigate this. So I picked up some pet CBD that was pretty much the safest one I could find. They were from Colorado. They had safety testing right down to the individual lot numbers. It said exactly what was in it. So I thought I was good to go. So long story short, I picked the one that looked the safest to me. I have been on CBD myself for my chronic pain, for my endometriosis, for about a year. So he was getting such a small amount that I was literally just touching the very tip of the syringe to the oil. I wasn't dipping it. I couldn't even draw it out. It was that little CBD. So he got 4 of those tiny little drops over 4 days, like 1 a day, 4 days. So day 1, I noticed he was much less humpy. He was regurgitating less. He was more interested and focused. He was acting like a regular bird for the first time in probably 5 years. So I was really excited about that. I was like, wow, this is working. And it was at that point that I made a stupid decision. I posted it on Twitter that this is what we were doing. And I started answering people's questions about it. And my responses were to speak to your vet, but that doesn't change the fact that I was supporting what I thought was medicine and promoting it when that was very much not the case. And in my, sorry, I'm just scratching him through the cage bars. The reason I initially tweeted it is because I kind of wanted to share this journey. You know, I share everything about my animals. You know, I put my animals on the internet, so I don't like keeping stuff private when things aren't going super well or when we are trying different things, because I think it kind of sends the message. Keeping this many birds is easier than it is, because it is not easy. You guys. So I share my animals on the internet, the good stuff and the bad, with the hopes of helping people. But I should have waited longer than, I think it was like the 1st or 2nd day. Pretty much as soon as I saw a difference in Kuzco's behavior, I started tweeting about it, and that was stupid. Like, if somebody had taken what I was saying on the internet and followed it and had the same situation or worse happen with their bird, I would probably, I don't think I'd be able to continue posting my animals on the internet like this. Like, I would just feel so guilty if that happened. It definitely made me reconsider for the future how much I want to share, because I'm now very aware that this could be a very different story that I'm telling right now, and it could have affected more people than just me and more animals than just Kuzco. Day 1, he was much less hormonal, much less regurgitate. He just seemed more relaxed and more focused. And that kind of continued until the evening of day 4, so Thursday night. He gets his CBD first thing in the morning at around 8:30, 9 a.m. So when I got home Thursday night at 8:30, I believe, when I took it, which is like after their bedtime, their lights go out at 8. So when I took him out to say goodnight to him, he seemed really clingy and really groggy. And Kuzco gets super needy. I mean, he's needy all the time, but he gets like clingy when he's not feeling well. And I immediately was like, I don't love that. That doesn't look regular. But you know, it's late. He's been asleep. He also gets like that when I'm stressed, and I've had some stress. I'm always just stressed. So maybe that's what's going on. I'm gonna give him till the morning. Friday morning, he was really groggy, and I took him out in the morning. Sometimes on my days off, we'll like lay in bed and watch cartoons together. So I took him out to watch cartoons, and he was barely responsive. Like, he stood on my finger okay, but he was really wobbly. And then when we got back in bed, he just hunkered down inside my neck and just passed out, like was completely unconscious. And I was like, oh, okay, something's not right. So I immediately called my vet, who was fully booked. I called the other avian vet, and they were like, we can get you in for 7 o'clock. Great. Like 7 p.m. and this is, you know, about 12 hours before that. And so I was there's only 2 avian vets remotely close to me, like within a 16-hour drive, I think it is. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna call emergency and see if they can treat him even just temporarily, because he's not doing well. Like, he's not responsive. If I yelled his name and like really nudged him and like rubbed his head a bunch, he'd like kind of wake up and be like, oh, hey. But as soon as I'd stopped stimulating him, he'd just go right back out. He was having absolutely liquid poops, like bright yellow and green. Shh, go eat your millet. Basically no urates in there. Urates are like the white part that basically in their poops, that means that their kidneys are working. And the fluid that was coming out was the color that it is when they're having organ failure. So he was in some pretty serious trouble. He was also really cold. I was having a hard time keeping him warm. Like, oh my God, you guys, it was so bad. So bad. So he's been like this for about 24 hours now. I called 13 different vets today, including the emergency clinic, to see if I could get him in, and nobody had space. And the emergency clinic doesn't have an avian vet, so they actually refused to see him flat out. So I did get him in with an appointment at our previous vet for 7 tonight, and it's 5:30 right now. Hey buddy, how you doing? And I just kind of got the urge to film because I don't know what's gonna happen, and you guys have always been so supportive of us and of Kuzco. So I just kind of wanted to share. He's not, like symptom-wise, he's not acting like he's in pain. He's just really, really tired. And he is, yeah, he's really tired. And he is, how you doing, buddy? Good boy. He's not super responsive. He does wake up a couple times to eat if I offer it to him. He's drinking a little bit. His poops look terrible. He's just not doing very well. Okay, so at 7, we book it over to the vet. I kind of explained to my vet what had happened. He agreed that it was quite likely the CBD, but he was like, you know, if this doesn't get better, we may need to explore other options. Kuzco years ago had a seizure. We don't know why. We never figured out the cause of it. So he was like, those poops look like liver or kidney disease, and liver or kidney disease can progress very slowly in birds, and it also causes seizures. So he was like, we may be dealing with the early, he was like, you know, you may be dealing with organ failure, whether that was brought on by the CBD or a pre-existing condition. We don't know, but that's kind of where we're at. So I was like, okay. So basically the plan was to give him the weekend and see how he did and if he rallied, and then if not, we were going to pursue additional testing. He threw up every half an hour for almost the entire night. And I don't mean regurgitate. Actual vomit, throwing it all over the cage, distressed. So neither of us really slept. I had him in a hospital cage on a heated perch, and that definitely made him more comfortable, but dude did not have a good night at all. Saturday, I left work. I had to work for like 4 hours in the morning, but then on my way home from work, I picked him up some Pedialyte and some hand feeding formula, and basically all the calories that I could find to try and get some weight on him, but also try and flush out the CBD. Fed him tons of Pedialyte, pretty much just let him eat whatever he would eat. And the vomiting had stopped. So that was really good. And by Saturday evening, he was acting a little bit more himself. He was a tiny bit more active. He was walking around like a drunk person, but he was moving, which was an improvement from the 24 hours before. He was still really snuggly and like tired. But an attempt was being made. He made a dive for my chip bowl. I have footage of all of this, by the way, so I'll just like insert. Okay, so I'm in bed eating chips, watching Superstore, trying to decompress a little bit. And this boy will not, he woke up out of a dead sleep. He'd been asleep for 4 hours. Get out. Oh my God. You freaking stole one. You're sick. Oh my God. No. He wants these chips so bad. So I mean, on the one hand, it's good because he has an appetite. But I'm like, no, you're not getting chips. Get out, Kuzco. Get out. No. You can't have them. So I mean, that's good. I guess it means he's feeling well enough to eat freaking potato chip. You can't have it. Get out of here. Oh my God. Kuzco. Get down. No. Oh, you're so bad. Craving salty things, and I think that has to do with his low electrolytes. He's still craving salty things, so I'm still kind of like funneling Pedialyte into him and sneaking it in where I can get it. He really hates it. But Saturday night was kind of when I started to be like, okay, maybe he's gonna pull through this. Sunday he went and stayed with babysitter while I went to work. And while he was at the babysitter's, he was a lot more active and chatty, still groggy, but seemed to be feeling a little bit more himself. And then when I took him home Sunday night, he was acting almost normal. So we're now at the third day of CBD toxicosis. So we're at about 72 hours since his last dose. And he was only just starting to act normal again. You're a toad today. He's very angry right now. Come here. If you want me to scratch your head, I will, but you can't just be dramatic this whole time. So yesterday was Monday, and Monday he was kind of the same on Sunday. Like, he was feeling a fair bit better, still not entirely himself, and still really craving salt and electrolytes. He's also been really bitey for the last 24 hours, like Monday, today's Tuesday, so Monday, Tuesday. He's been very chompy, which he usually gets like when he needs something, and I think that's the electrolyte issue. So added some supplements to his food to give him a little bit of a boost and help get some calories in there. His poops are slowly returning to normal. They're not 100% their regular color yet, but they are closer. But overall, he's much, much, much better than he was on Thursday or Friday. Are you a sleepy bean? Do you want to come out and tell everybody how much better you're feeling? No, I want to come regurgitate on you. So 4 drops is what did this. 4 drops of pet grade CBD is what did this to Kuzco. We still don't know if he has lasting organ damage. It's at a bit of a wait and see right now. I do know that he's not 100% recovered yet, and it's going to be at least a few more days before he's himself again. But 4 drops over 4 days almost killed his organs. Like, he almost died. And I was following the instructions. I was following what the company told me, and I was following veterinary advice. So this is where, and I have to say as well, you guys, I was really apprehensive to make my initial posts about what was going on because I didn't know how it was going to end, and because we weren't sure if it was a combination of problems yet. But you guys were so supportive and so understanding, and I feel a tremendous amount of guilt for what has happened to Kuzco, but you guys made me feel at least like I'm not the only person who's made a mistake with their pets. And, you know, I have understandably gotten a little bit of flack and a little bit of judgment for like, why would you put your bird on CBD? But the answer to that question is out of desperation. It's really hard to watch your animal lose weight over something that you just can't seem to be able to fix. And, you know, I've tried everything other than other medications for Kuzco's hormonal behavior. I have, like, if you want the whole list, I rearrange their cage weekly. I reduce their protein and sugars during hormonal months. I don't touch him outside of his, like, the top of his head and his little, like, mutton chops, I call them. I don't offer him food from my mouth. I don't touch his beak. I don't give him like warm, mushy foods. He gets between 12 and 14 hours of sleep every night. He has full spectrum lighting. He has the right temperature. He bathes. He target trains. He goes out on walks with me. He has a ton of enrichment. He forages. He has had like everything under the sun that I can find to try and get this regurgitation under control. And it's still a problem. And this winter has been especially hard on him. He's barbered the absolute crap out of his feathers, which has never really happened before. It's happened like one other winter, but nowhere near as bad as it is now. Like the first time it happened, it wasn't noticeable to anyone but me. yeah, so it wasn't a decision I made lightly to begin with, and it ended up being the wrong decision, and both of us have paid dearly for it. I am so lucky that Kuzco is still here, and I haven't even begun to process that. Like, I've been having, now that things have started to slow down and, you know, he's starting to improve, he's literally barbering right now. Come here, Kuzco. Hello. Can you please preen regular? Good boy. Now that things have started to slow down, like in the last 24 hours, I've been having legit panic attacks. Just kind of processing how close that was. Ugh. Pet CBD is not safe, okay? Okay, great, great. So human CBD is like barely regulated. I'm in Canada where it is regulated, and it's still barely regulated. 4 drops of pet grade CBD is what did this to Kuzco. Pet CBD, pet supplements, pet food, none of them are regulated, okay? The FDA, everyone always talks about the FDA and pet food because of the whole like DCM kerfuffle, when we all know the initial study and the FDA like investigation were literally headed by the same person, which is Lisa Freeman, who is a Purina nutritionist. Okay, no, I'm not gonna talk about DCM today. Pet food, pet industry, not regulated, okay? So when you see supplements that are on shelves that are marketed for animals, they are following human trends, okay? They are not proven, they are not scientific, and they are not always safe. And I mean, maybe that's a polarized view. I do use other supplements with my animals. However, think about what CBD is used for. It's used for anxiety, it's used for pain management, and it's used for, I have one that's literally branded for everything from seizures to heart problems. There is no one treatment for every person, and there's sure as hell not one treatment for every species of every pet. I followed the instructions that the company gave me, and I followed the rules. And Kuzco still overdosed, and it's because all CBD does have THC in it, okay? When you see pet branded stuff, CBD, and I'm not talking about hemp because that's a totally different thing, but when you see full spectrum hemp oil or cold pressed hemp seed oil, those are CBD. And there's no such thing as pure CBD with no THC. The stuff Kuzco got had 0.03% THC, and he got 4 drops. So these products that are on shelves that are marketed as CBD for animals, not safe. Do not give them to your animals, okay? If you're following like dog dosages for like a specific weight of dog and the company says it's fine, okay, great. I know people who have used CBD on their dogs and had it work out really well. But when I get a dog, will I be putting it on CBD? Absolutely not. I will never, ever, ever offer CBD to my animals again, because the reality is we have done no studies. We have no conclusive evidence what works well for animals for a lot of things. And believe it or not, CBD is not snake oil, okay? There's all this back and forth over whether or not CBD works. It's like any other medication, and I say that as a CBD patient. It's like any other medication. For some people it works great, for others not so much. But does that mean that it's safe to give to your animal because it might not have any effect? Absolutely not. Don't do it. These products are not tested, they're not safe, and they should not be on shelves. I wanted this to work so badly. I wanted him to feel better. I wanted him to be less anxious and hormonal. And I wanted to be able to help other people in similar situations. A couple of mistakes. My first mistake was giving him CBD, and my second mistake was promoting that I was giving him CBD before I knew the outcome. Anyways, so that's what happened this weekend. Hopefully this video doesn't suck or like isn't super rambly. I am still really kind of upset about it. And if it seems like I'm not that upset about it, it's because I deal with my stress now by dark humor, because otherwise I'll cry. And we have enough videos on this channel of me doing that. Joe is definitely on the mend, I think. His poops are better, he's eating a little bit better, he's getting there. It's gonna be a few more days, I think, before he's 100%. Oh, he's so cute though. He's having a nap right now. He's a precious little bean. I don't even know how to wrap up this video, but don't give your pets CBD. Don't listen to reviews online. Don't listen to everybody on every forum in the world, because everyone has conflicting information and opinions, and you have no way of filtering out which is which. And I say that while posting my information and opinions on the internet. But for real, if you need medication for your animal, please go to a vet instead of a pet store.